Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show, coming at you, as always, on Tuesdays with Andrew Combo Salop. And we're here to chop it up, talk about everything in the NBA as soon as Andrew gets all situated there. How you doing today, Andrew?
Coach Nick, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Your step repeat looks really good back there now. Got some 3D feel to it, so I'm happy to see.
Yeah, man. Combos Court. We're out here, Coach Nick. We are out here.
That's right. Don't forget, you got to check out Combos Court podcast as well, as Combo runs his own pod as well. And you can always check out this show on the podcast on my feed. I'll post it later on as an audio only thing. But at the very least, we're here. We're here to talk about the NBA. We have a couple games going on just yet, but I think the main event will happen for a little while tonight. So who's here? Who's ready to go? I put in the link. If you want to chop it up with us in the show, you can hit that link and join us, video, audio, whatever you like. And don't forget the chat area is also a great way to get our attention with the super chat. That's the best way to do it if you want to get a question up there. But let's do it. Let's talk. I kind of threw up there the last second the Yokitch MVP. No one seems to want to give him any kind of hype for that. I think let's talk about that. What do you think?
It was my prediction before the season. I said it on my podcast. I thought he was going to be the MVP because I thought he was going to have high usage without Jamal Murray being there. He proved he won it before. Obviously, there's a thing called voters fatigue, but he has proved he's done it before, and he's a young player who's going to get 1 year better, right? So I just thought everything was in the mix for him to win it again. And, he's in the mix. And, Embiid's right there. Durant was there, but he got injured. Steph took a step back. LeBron got the knee thing. So, yeah, I think Jokic is definitely in the mix, and he could win it all as I predicted.
Yeah. He is every much the MVP in this. We have to kind of always discuss exactly what the MVP is supposed to be. Is it the best player in the league? Is it the most valuable to his team? And there's no question, Denver suffering all these injuries has relied on him as much, if not more than any other player in the NBA. And even a player of the week, someone showed me the stats, and maybe I'll call him up real quick on Twitter. But the stats, it's hard to imagine how CP3 would have won it over him. CP3 had a good week. There's no question. But, I'll tell you in a second. You know what? My headphones are all screwy today. But it's ridiculous what he was able to do. I'm going to tell you right now while we're talking here.
Chris Paul always has very high impact, but the stats are never quite gaudy enough to actually win an MVP award, it seems like, because it does seem that you need to have really big stats to win it all when it comes to the MVP. But, he has most valuable impact for sure.
True. And he had good numbers. I think he is averaging double-digit assists, and he was, scoring. But Jokic's numbers, that's interesting. Is this what I it on Twitter? Because it felt like it was better than this. But 25 a game, 4-0, 50% from three on 5 attempts per game, 13 and a half rebounds, 10 and a half assists. So yeah, that's what I was seeing. So he averaged a triple-double for the week, leading his team to an undefeated week with some ridiculous numbers, shooting outrageously from both 2 and 3, and hitting every free throw he took this week. So his plus minus was 14.8, which is not exactly the best thing for the net rating, which we can check in a minute. But if I do this, either way, it's pretty gaudy stuff. And again, people just seem to want to ignore him for some reason. It doesn't really make sense to me. You think it's just fatigue?
It could be voters fatigue. I mean, he only won it once. It wasn't like Jordan winning five
Right.
of them. So I don't know how much fatigue it is, but people do want to see a new guy winning it. I know there's probably some job buzz out there, and there's probably some other new guys that people want to see win it. But I think it's even more the advanced stats. Like, didn't at one point he had the highest PER ever, from what I understand, and the on-off numbers are pretty ridiculous as well.
It's all all of his numbers are completely ridiculous, and he's just doing so much work, and he doesn't seem to ever get tired, even though it doesn't look like he's like in shape particularly, but he doesn't ever get tired. He just keeps going and work. We have someone who wants to go on the show already. Ev wants to come on. Let's bring him on, see what he wants to say, or she. Let's see here. Oh, let me get this. There we go. Ev, are you there? EB. He's muted, but I didn't mute him. Did I mute him? I don't think I muted him. He's there. Maybe are they there? Let's see. We'll give him a chance while we're talking to see if Ev can come on in there.
Yo, can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Yes, now we can hear you.
Oh, wow. I've been a fan of yours for a while.
Hey, cool. Thanks.
I was just coming to watch the show because are you guys watching the game right now?
We are not. We're just kind of talking about the NBA. Which game are you talking about, though? There's a couple.
The Nuggets versus the T-Wolves. That's why I clicked on it. You had Anthony Edwards on the thumbnail.
Yeah, right. Well, we're going to talk about him too anyway, just because of the videos I've been doing. But yes, have you peeked at it a little bit? Maybe I'll throw it on in the background while we're talking.
Yeah, that's what I'm watching right now on League Pass.
What do you see so far?
I just turned it on. I just saw Vanderbilt free throw.
Okay, great. Well, hey, we'll play by play. I mean, listen, I would love to share that screen and throw it up there, but we can't do that on live stream.
You came out with a video just now about like Michael, the comparison between Anthony Edwards and Michael Jordan, right?
I did. Yeah, that was on Monday. Yes.
I didn't watch it yet, but I've seen the same thing in the past couple of years. I think it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he is. I mean, there's no question. Well, it's funny because I grew up in Chicago. I would never tell anybody that Michael Jordan, anyone that's played like Michael Jordan and whatever. But I just there's something about the way he moves, the power, the grace, the balance, and also like the left hand finishing at the rim just kind of reminds me a lot of Michael. And I don't want to put that on him, but I think he might have seen the video today because he responded. Did you see Combo what he said about his place in the next few years?
I didn't. Tell me more.
Basically, he was like, I expect to see myself as the face of the league in 5 years and being maybe the best shooting guard in the league by then. And that seems reasonable to me, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no, I've said it before. I think he's a future MVP, in my opinion.
Yeah. And by the way, he's playing like it now. He's not he's still learning how to deal with it, but like he is not shy about like just breaking off and ISOing, which I'm not even sure I'm excited about it when I see him do it too often. But for a kid, and it's his second year, already kind of grabbing hold of the team and sort of leading it that way and feeling comfortable. That shows to me that, and also the ISOs that do come out, the very least, are off of the end of like some good movement and some opening of some of some space for him. So he's not just coming down off just a dribble and then ignoring everybody and ISOing. He's letting the offense come to him. So what do you think? What do you think, Ev?
I think for him to take that next step, he'll need to be like the primary option over Cat, especially defensively. That will impact more winning, and then they'll be able to actually get the conversation rolling. Until then, it's just Minnesota all over again.
Right. Well, that's the key. I think what you're saying is that Cat needs to be bumped down to number 2.
Yeah,
he's not a number 1, but you know what? He's been playing a lot better defensively this year than I've ever seen him play. Honestly, he's actually creating plays and actually making plays on the defensive end and moving laterally better than I had seen him before. So that's really important. But I agree, he's not the guy. Anthony Edwards needs to be the guy, and if he is the guy, then all of a sudden you're talking about a team that's going to be much better going forward.
Yeah, I agree. Well said.
Thank you.
And then also about the Jokic point, I think it's just like we're used to seeing flashier players win MVPs. Obviously, Russell Westbrook won it because of his flashiness.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, Steph. You can see the impact he has on offense. And you can obviously see that with Jokic as well. But what people are used to seeing from a big is more low post dominant. Scoring wise, and just a smaller market in general. People, I guess, there's not as big a fandom for him yet.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I don't. It's hard to know what to make of it. Where is it my fault? Because, that I haven't been doing another video. By the way, I was about to do another video. Is Jokic better than Embiid or Embiid better than Jokic? I've done at least 2, maybe 3 of those throughout the years. Only in the sense of like, let's get some hype going. Let's get as many people as possible watching the video. And certainly, if you put Jokic and Embiid in the same title, like you should do pretty well. But I'm thinking that maybe that's the other problem is Jokic just deserves his own video.
Yeah. And people,
yeah, I think the Anthony Edwards Michael Jordan video is a more interesting title than even that, like even a Jokic Embiid title, right? Because it's a little different. I feel like everybody's doing Jokic videos right now.
Are they?
I think so.
Okay, so maybe everyone heard that there was no hype, and now everyone's trying to like catch up, and meanwhile, yeah, everyone's behind. I mean, yeah, like I might actually start a new series where I go over the players of the week for each conference, and to explain every. I guess they announce them on Monday, so maybe every Tuesday we do a video where we explain why the last several games why they were picked that way. But yeah, here's a good example where I would have much preferred to do a Jokic for the past week than even like CP3 for Western Conference Player of the Week. But I don't know, man. I mean, I posted a pass he made the other night off of a pick and roll where he popped and then the guy had cut at the same time. It was like a one-time baseball pass from 18 feet out for a layup, and like people were didn't even want to acknowledge how amazing it was because he's just so amazing as it is anyway, right? Like we see that all the time now, and maybe that's part of it too. We're desensitized to the absolutely amazing vision he's got.
Also, I think if Jamal Murray was playing, it'd be more impactful because you'll see how he works out well with another amazing all-star player, and you can see that kind of combo, that fluidity of why he should be so highly regarded.
Yeah, what's really great about this is we got the chance to see Giannis and Jokic play against each other, actually guard each other a little bit the other game. And tonight we're seeing Kat guarding Jokic. I'm assuming it's the other way too. I have my eye on the game right now. That's nice. I feel like we went through a period where, the big stars maybe wouldn't guard each other so much, and it was kind of frustrating. Like you're probably not going to see LeBron guard like KD, for instance, if they ever go up against each other in that matchup going forward. Steph a lot of times would not guard, whoever that matchup is either because they have guys like Clay or even Wiggins now. But this is great. I love to see these guys go at each other and really let's figure out, who's better. All right. Well, what do you say? Thanks, Ev. I appreciate you coming on the show and being part of it. It was great.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you.
You got it. All righty. Let's go back to there we go. Our side-by-side look there. And anyway, so combo, yeah, that might be an interesting thing is that maybe we're just desensitized. We've seen him do these great passes so often that we're kind of like not as amazed anymore.
Yeah, I think he's been doing it for so long now that, I agree with you. Desensitized. I mean, we never seen a center who could pass like this. Maybe Sabonis was the last guy, but besides that, I can't really think of anybody else. And he does it off the dribble, which Sabonis didn't really do. So, right. Yeah, I mean, he's the best passing big ever. I think that's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, right? Walton was up there, but he never did anything like this, and he wasn't allowed to do that what he does either, and doesn't run the offense like off as a point guard does, like he does a lot of the time. So, and credit Mike Malone for being, very forward thinking on this and really letting him do it because he didn't have to. I mean, you remember when the Nuggets actually had Jokic and Nurkic? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and they were kind of both battling for minutes and, whatever. And they were able to figure it out pretty quick or whatever. I don't know how quickly it was that Jokic was the guy and then they traded. And then, interestingly enough, I remember when Nurkic gets traded to the Trailblazers, and I think the Blazers were about to start to tank that season, but Nurkic comes in and plays really well for them, and they kind of start winning some games. You remember, I was there in Portland right after the trade happened. I remember them going like, "Oh my God, we're gonna actually, we're good now all of a sudden." And I think it was a shock, which also changes a lot of stuff if you think about it in terms of the trajectory of Portland. If Portland had like a tanking season a few years ago, got a really high draft pick, they might have. I got to look at that year, whatever that was. Maybe somebody in the comments will remember, but they might have ended up getting one of these really top players now, like Anthony Edwards or something like that, and had a total good another reset for them. We got MJ who wants to come on the show. You think it's the real MJ?
Yeah, maybe he wants to talk about the video. He's going to tell you that Anthony Edwards would never be me. Actually,
Yeah.
MJ had an interesting quote about Anthony Edwards once, right? That he believes that he was a better athlete than him. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Oh shoot, I would have liked to have seen that. I put it in the video, but let's bring MJ on here and see what he wants to say. MJ, are you there? Is it really you? We don't have a picture for you, but we
Hey,
have
coach,
audio.
can't talk right now. Today is my B day. Got one question. What if KD and CP3 teamed up together? Do you think they'll be a championship team? I feel like KD picked the wrong teammates to team up because Kyrie missed games and Harden is just inconsistent.
What if KD and CP3 teamed up together? I don't know. I would like to see these guys actually get through a season healthy and through a playoff season series or two, right? Like I think it could work, but we gotta see it on the court before I really make a decision. So I don't know. I mean, certainly KD and CP3, sure, that's a great combination too. They should be able to win a ton of games as well. But I'm not throwing Kyrie and Harden under the bus just yet. I want to see them healthy and give it a go. Maybe this year. Maybe they'll get rid of the COVID mandate or the vaccine mandate by then and let them play.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, first of all, happy birthday, MJ.
Yeah.
But I don't think he picked the wrong teammates. I think they play really well together when they had time to play together. It just hasn't been a lot of games yet. Harden has had some injuries. We all know what's going on with Kyrie. KD has his injury now. But when they play together, man, they look phenomenal and they look like they have great chemistry. So
yeah,
I know. I mean, with all this trade talk with Harden, I don't know how real it is or real it isn't and who leaked that, but I think they've been great together. So I don't see why any of them would leave.
Yeah, I mean, I remember them talking about Harden, had never really gone through any kind of free agent process and maybe just kind of wants to be wined and dined a little bit without ever really at least leaving, the Nets, because I think he's a free agent after this year, right?
If he wants to be, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, I mean, my take on it is his hand gets better, he gets healthy. Kyrie, somehow they figure out a way where they're going to get into play, or they'll pay that fine, right? Whatever we said, and we'll see, and they'll play together, and we'll find out pretty quickly, in a couple of playoff rounds what they have and what they don't have, and then yeah, I mean, listen. Would I be surprised? Let's just say they flame out in the first round. They're healthy. They play together. It just totally flames out. They play.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening.
Bad matchup, whatever. They somehow maybe they get a matchup against the Bucks, and that's it. Whatever. What do you think? Does Harden bolt from that?
Yeah. First of all, I don't see that happening. A first round loss to them if they're all healthy.
To the I don't know, Milwaukee. I'm making that up. Who would they play right now if it started? Let's look at the standings real quick. The standings. If the playoffs started right now, the Nets would play their sixth. They play the third. They play the Sixers. That's not so easy.
I mean,
by the way,
with no Ben Simmons, the Sixers aren't beating them with them three, in my opinion.
Wow. I mean, Sixers are playing really, really, really well. I mean, they pulled out that game without Embiid against Memphis. Although, again, Memphis, pretty much self-destructed. They had the free throw to win it. By the way, did you watch it? Did you see that game at all?
Which game?
The Memphis Philly last night.
Yep.
So
some of it.
I'm kind of curious your thoughts. Right before Ja's going to shoot the game-winning free throw with no time left on the clock or 6 seconds on the clock, and the other team, the Sixers didn't have a timeout. The referees give him the ball. He's getting set, and then they come and they run and say, no. They take the ball away from him and ice him, and then finally give it back to him while they screwed up the clock. What do you think about that? Did you feel like that was? I mean, to me, I'm just going to tell you right now. I said this on Twitter. You're icing the player. It's not fair. The referees need to be organized. They can't screw up the clock thing and give the guy the ball and then interrupt that. That never happens. It shouldn't happen. What do you think?
Well, what could you do after you've done it already? There's no way to take it back, right? Because they were trying to figure out what's happening. Once they give the ball back, what are they supposed to do? If he misses it, they just give it back to him again and give him another try.
No, because if let's just say he makes it, they're not going to stop the clock, the game, and say, "Oh, we got to fix the clock." The clock needs to be fixed. It just needs to be fixed when it needs to be fixed. They were on a long timeout during a review of that foul. So before you, and all I'm saying is before you give him the ball, take that extra time before you give it to him to say, "Okay, that's the call, that's the review. What's the clock? Let's get that set up." They just had a mind fart. They didn't realize it until after they gave him the ball, and as a result, I mean, not as a result necessarily, but he misses that free throw when as well as I do. You go to the line, the referee gives you the ball. 99.9% of your entire career, you were just going to be able to shoot the free throw. That's it. You'll never encounter a moment where the referee comes up to you and says, "No, give me that ball back." It's just disruptive.
Weird, yeah.
It's frustrating. That happened to me once when I was coaching in high school, and one of my guys, we were shooting a free throw, the same kind of thing, probably overtime, and the referees just were like screwing around. They just couldn't get organized. They didn't know what was going on, and at some point it was like a minute and a half, and my guy's just standing there on the free throw. I'm like waiting. And I got mad. This is my problem. I started kind of yelling at the refs to say, like, give him the damn ball already. What are you doing? But my players saw that and probably had that some sort of visceral reaction to seeing me angry, and he missed the free throws. So that was my fault. But certainly that was a thing. I'm seeing somebody angry at me, or not angry at me. He says Coach Nick is biased against Philly. He never gives any players or Sixers props. Now, we know that's false, right, Complet? Let's put this up, because this is what we're all about. I'm even going to give him a little bit of love on the screen here.
Well, his name is anonymous, so I don't know how much love you're giving him.
Do you know why that's a blatant and outright lie? Do you know have you heard me talk about like a specific player on the Sixers that I give way too much love to?
Trivia. Seth Curry?
No, but I give him as much love as I possibly can. Other side of the ball.
Oh, Thybulle.
Yes. Matisse Thybulle is the best perimeter defender in the NBA right now and doesn't get enough playing time. The guy just is amazing. He's amazing on the defense. He's better than Simmons. I'm sorry to tell you that. Defensively, he's better than Simmons. He makes plays that I can't even believe anybody else makes. So
he makes scrambling defensive plays better than Simmons, kind of like mucking up the offense and things to that degree, but just staying in front of your man, I don't know if he's better than Simmons.
Okay. Well, the way I feel is that it's Thybulle. Nobody plays defense better than him. If you want to say Simmons plays as well as him, all right, fine. But you can't play it better than he does. He's so disruptive on every possession.
He's disruptive. That's the right word.
Yeah, and he gets beat. So what? Everyone gets beat. But his disruption level is so high. Crazy. And by the way, and Curry, I love Curry, such a skill level. The guys like his size are always forgotten about. They're never given the proper respect, like Dallas didn't do. And he does, wherever he goes, they win. Yeah.
Can I say one thing on the Ben Simmons thing? I think if you give any player 10 tries, let's say if they're playing one-on-one, 10 tries to score on Thybulle and 10 tries to score on Ben Simmons, I think they're scoring more times on Thybulle.
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I would say that Thybulle is more disruptive. Like, he finds weird situations to like muck up offense, but just like clamping down with somebody in front of you playing ISO ball, Ben Simmons is
I'm gonna prepare a little edit for you then, I guess, because I've seen it plenty of times enough where he can just guys don't even want to go at him.
First of all, both of them are great. I mean, you're splitting hairs on defense.
I mean, yeah, that's fine, but I don't see Thybulle having a problem like guarding ISOs and locking.
No, not. But they're two of the best defenders in the league. I'm not saying either one of them has a problem. I'm just saying that I think Ben could get more stops in that situation.
Yeah. Now, by the way, Simmons might be the guy who, if people think I'm biased against Philly, it's because of Simmons. But for me, it's like I was the first guy on the Simmons bandwagon, believe it or not.
You were saying years ago that when your point guard can't shoot, it puts your team at a tremendous disadvantage in the playoffs. You were saying that years ago, right?
There was a video I did for Simmons, I think, before he got to the NBA, where I was really high on him and showing all these amazing things, and it's almost unfair to have him there. And that probably lasted through the first season of his career, because I figured he would improve, and he would be willing to take some of those shots and not just be such a sagged off player that comes up the works for everybody else. But now here we are, year 4, year 5, whatever, and he just simply he hasn't improved. He's the same player he was as a rookie, which is great. He was really that good coming in, but I don't think he's really progressed in anything meaningful in any offensive skill. And so as a result, now I am the other way, even though I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt of what people want to say, he doesn't work hard. Remember, we talked about this before. The whole thing about him not working hard, to me, could very well have been he has been working hard. He's been getting kind of bad training, so he's not seeing any results, and so he gets frustrated. He's like, "What's the point? I've been working my ass off. I can't get any better. I'm not going to do this anymore." Like, that was me trying to explain that. Nobody really wants to hear that argument, but either way. And then Embiid. Listen, I told you my Embiid. I have to talk to him about it, but they asked him how how he became a really good shooter. It's such a big size, kind of rare for the guys that size to be a good shooter. And he goes, well, I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of coaches, but I just go on and watch Twitter, YouTube videos by these old white dudes talking about shooting. That's got to be me. I'm the old white dude. I'm sure he must have watched one of those videos and look how good of a shooter he is now. I mean, listen, one of those shooting videos I did has like 5-6 million views. I'm sure he's one of them. So at any rate, so I like the Sixers. Now, Doc is a little bit, frustrating to me. He gets a technical foul on okay, they didn't blow the whistle on the buzzer, which they don't hardly ever do anyway. He should know that better than anybody. And he like wigged. It was almost like he thought they lost the game and figured, well, I might as well detonate now because the game's over. And then all of a sudden it's tied, and then they're starting overtime a point down. But they were able to pull it out anyway. So thank goodness that they didn't lose by like one based on that technical foul to start the overtime.
I guess he feels that you don't give Philadelphia 76ers love, but you're not a fan of any team, right? So you would have no bias towards the,
right. I mean, listen,
against any team.
It's like anything I might say that's like inferred as negative against the team. I am a hater and I'm biased, right?
Yeah.
And I'll praise the team in the next tweet, let's say, but that doesn't work in people's minds. They're like, wait, you just said something negative. How can you possibly then say something positive? I'm like, well, this is what happened in that possession. Jokic versus Giannis. Jokic outplayed Giannis thoroughly the other night. It was not. I mean, listen, Giannis had some good numbers, but Jokic his impact in the game on both sides was much more profound.
To me, Jokic is a better player.
Yeah, but whoa, careful. We don't want to get the Giannis fans riled up because Giannis is great. But
because their thing is, I mean, Giannis fans would say that Giannis won the championship, though, but that doesn't mean absolutely everything,
Right. Giannis is a frustrating player for me because, first of all, how can you not love the guy? I mean, his story about dunking Oreos is all time, amazing. Love that. The kid is just, an awesome guy. And by the way, like for all the times he just lowers his shoulder and tries to just slam guys out of the way because of without using any skill. Then he will do like, a pivot, fake, turnaround, fadeaway jumper and then knock it down. Like, okay, great. Like that was great. I would like to see more of that.
And his passing has improved.
I mean, he makes the basic reads. He makes the basic passes, right? He makes the passes that he needs to make. It's not like Jokic, who's like no look, 50-foot Blazers,
I mean, you can't compare. Yeah, you can't compare anybody to Jokic, really.
Right.
I mean, like you could compare like maybe the LeBrons and the CP3s, even though CP3 is a different kind of passer, but you can't really compare too many people to Jokic's passing.
No, you can't. I mean, Trae Young is a little bit like that too with the no-look stuff. But he has a disadvantage because it's hard for him to see over the defense, whereas Jokic can just throw it, and he doesn't care. Jokic will throw it and get like deflected or get stolen too. He plays with a freedom there that allows him to be that loose and make those reads because he's not worried about like turning it over. Steph is the same way. And Steph has kind of gotten like hyper efficient with his game, so we don't have a lot of those amazing passes like he used to throw. Right, I feel like he used to throw those lefty hook passes across the court to like the corner for right corner for shots. We don't really see that too much, but anyway. But there's a little update here with the game. Let's see here. Jokic goes out and the Timbs go on a 15-2 run. Yeah, the Timberwolves took over this game. The score right now is as they go to a timeout is 48-35 Minnesota with midway through the second quarter, and we have a Denver timeout. So yeah, it's hard because that's another one of those arguments for MVP. When Jokic goes out, look what happens to them, and their net rating goes down. We have somebody else who wants to come in the show. Here's the thing, Eb and MJ, if you're out there, like I guess I can kick you out. I'm worried I'm going to like kick you out of the whole show, but you're sitting there in a little studio here waiting. I'm going to kick from the studio. Maybe you'll still be in the show.
Yeah, they're both asking questions in this private chat.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I want to make sure we have enough people who want to come on in. So let's get them out of the studio. And I think you're still in the show. And we have Jacob who wants to come on. So let's bring in Jacob. What's up, my man?
What's going on, man? How y'all doing?
Hey, we got video. We're so excited to be able to see you. Thank you for doing that for us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I know that's a big thing for y'all.
What's happening?
I got like a few things I want to say.
All right.
I think players are just taking bad shots. Preferably, I think it's because of analytics.
Okay. Which shots are bad?
Threes. Like, why are we taking so many threes?
Well, it's It's worth one more point, right? I mean, that's the answer. We'll hear about how about this. You probably would agree that it might be better to try and take a 3 than like a 23-footer, right? Can we agree on that?
Well, like, I mean, in terms of scoring, so like you have 3-point shooting and you have like mid range, you have layups, but at the same time you have buckets, and you have to know how to score. And players are just, I think because of analytics, they're just doing okay. I'm gonna take a long 3 or I'm gonna get all the way to the rim. But it's like, like there's situations in the game where if you just read the defense, you can, take better shots. I just feel, I don't know.
I hear you. Well, especially if you get to the playoffs where the good defenses can take away the 3, they can wall up the paint, and so you can't get there. So what do you have left, right? And if you don't have any experience shooting those mid-range shots, then how are you supposed to win a playoff series? That's my take.
I agree.
And all the league's best players get there and score, like KD, like Kawhi, like,
Yeah,
exactly. Well,
like
shooting slump, for example. I think it's because he's taking too many threes. It's kind of ironic because yes, I get it. Like I like threes myself, but if you saw last game, he hit like 2 mid-range shots where he just drove to the rim and then they stopped him. He just stopped, pulled up. That's perfect. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like because analytics, they're like you have to take threes, but it's like you have to make shots.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think also what you're talking about a little bit is independent of like, okay, 40% from 3 is elite and all that stuff. There's got to be a notion of success rate, right? And if you're going to have like, if you're only going to make 40, if you're only going to score on 40% of your possessions, you might end up having some trouble. You need to be able to find other ways to have a success rate in that possession, be it free throws or the other shots. So I think that, and I don't want to really say analytics is the issue here. I mean, certainly they should have been taking a lot more threes than we had for all those years, right? Like we needed to go one way, but I think the frequency, right? Once it gets over like 50%, I think we're in a problem here. And I think that's what everyone's sort of learning with more and more data, that we're going to find out that, like, I don't know, Combo, do you have a feeling for what the ideal frequency should be for a team that has good 3-point shooters? I would say it's probably, it's obviously in the 40s would probably be right. Do you have a feeling for anything more specific than that?
No, I would say like between 30 and 40 for most teams, but for the Warriors, it should be more than 40 when you have Clay and Steph.
Yeah, I would say any team that's like, in the top half of the league in 3-point shooting should shoot, 45%. You know what I mean? And then if they're hot in the certain games, then let them fly. And that's the other thing is I've always said this: if I can create an offense that creates 50 really good 3-point shots, well, then shoot 50 really good 3-point shots. But that's the issue. I don't know if coaches are teaching that well enough. Like, what is a good 3-point shot? So, Jacob, do you have a sense of like what the checklist would be for a good 3-point shot?
I actually do. So I didn't play on like the highest of levels, but I do get respect when I do play just because of how I am able to generate threes. I am little, 5'9", but I can't get my threes off with side steps and different movements. I think a good 3-point shot is anything in rhythm. If you're taking a shot in rhythm, it's in rhythm. I can't tell you your rhythm, but a player knows their rhythm. But I think these coaches are just like trying to diagram different shots, and it's just like I'm not watching players play to their fullest abilities. Like players like LeBron, he goes out there and does his little weird step backs, but they work because he's playing in rhythm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but a lot of these players are just out there playing like robots.
Right. Well, I'm going to break it down for you, because if it's coaches out there listening, here's the easy way to teach this. The best 3-point shots are ones off of offensive rebounds and kickouts. Boom. There you go. If you get a kick out on offensive rebound, let it fly.
Because that's the way people practice, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because the ball comes from the basket area. And it's rare that you actually get that pass, right, Combo? You don't always get it, but you certainly are guaranteed on a kick out from an offensive rebound, pretty much the ball be coming right from where we practice it.
It's funny. It's interesting. When I was playing in Israel, the coach had a play where it would go to the post first, and somehow he would kick out to the top of the key, and he said that was a higher percentage shot because that's where the pass was coming from, because that's how we practice.
Right. Well, so especially because when you're receiving the pass, you're already aligned to the basket, and that's another big reason why it's really great. And the other thing is, so post kickouts are the next best shot. So you throw in the post, it kicks it out. Why? Also, one reason is you're already aligned to the basket as you're catching it, most just about, and then your man probably had turned his head a little bit to look at the post, and so he might have lost you, and you might have been able to relocate a little bit to get open. So that's the second best one. So that's another one. Let it fly. Drive kick. Drive middle and kick. Okay, that's another really great one, especially if it's helping from one pass away. let those fly. That's a lot of places now for catch and shoot kind of shots. So at the very least, you can clean up all of those. Now you got to talk about, okay, off the dribble and off the pick and roll stuff. Yeah, you're right. I would say 20% of those threes across the entire NBA are bad shots and need to be eliminated. And once you take those out,
for the most part.
Yeah.
That's all.
You know, I can remember when Brandon Jennings first got into the league and was doing that, and he wasn't good at it, but he was shooting these crazy, like almost like James Harden step backs. And to me, I thought he was doing it on purpose. Like he made it so hard that there was no pressure on him to make it, which is kind of crappy because you're hurting the team because you're shooting 30%, 25% on those, right? So I hear you. Let's get specific there. Then it's the multi-dribble isolation, right-left step backs, side steps, that are not getting a lot of distance away from their man to get those off. Those are the ones that you probably dribbled down the clock to get to when you could have been getting some better movement. So yeah, I hear you on that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You got it. All right. Well, listen, we got some other people want to come on, but Jacob, anytime you want to come on, you're more than welcome. Thanks. All righty, let's get Kev in here. Kev has been waiting very patiently. Thank you, Kev, for coming in. We got Ball Fake Podcast coming up in a second, so we got you. Oh, wait, Kev Kev disappeared. Let's bring in Ball Fake then. What do you say? Hey, my man, what's going on?
What's up, Coach?
I owe you another email.
Yeah, you do.
God damn it! I'm sorry. All right,
It's all good. I'm booked up as of right now too. I'm booked up as well.
All right, good. Let's do it. My schedule is getting back to normal. Let's get it done. I've been on Ball Fake Podcast before. I'm gonna do it again. Thank you for being on this show. So what's chopping? What do you want to talk about?
Okay, I got a quick question for you. Do you feel like the NBA talent level in terms of the top 3 to 4 players, skill set wise, do you feel like we've reached a point to the fact that it's kind of equivalent from that standpoint, and we don't necessarily have a quote unquote clear-cut best player in the entire NBA?
Oh, okay. So are we limiting this to like the top of the top, or we're talking about overall? Like,
as far as like I would say top of the top 5 guys, like your Embiid's, Jokic's, Giannis, LeBron's.
Gosh, you know what, Combo? You grab this one first. What do you think?
I think KD's clearly the best player in the NBA. Me personally, with his skill set, 7 foot, kind of like a cheat code. I think he's clearly the best player. But Jokic is really, he's the MVP. So you can't say anything. You can't say that he's not. But I would say KD is the best player in the world, in my opinion.
I hear you, and I'm not going to fight to the death on it. But then all of a sudden you talk about Jokic, you're talking about Steph, and now Steph isn't shooting like he normally
And don't
does.
forget about LeBron, Coach Nick.
And don't forget about LeBron. Absolutely. Yeah. He's playing really, really well and kind of until his knee went down. Do knees go down until his knee started hurting him?
He has inflammation.
Yeah. You got to be careful, by the way, with that. You look at LeBron's minutes, man. He's hitting 35, 36, 37, consistently across the board. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? It's crazy. So my take on it is, it's gotten really close. I can't. You're splitting the thinnest of hairs to try and figure out like who really is better. I get the KD thing, and especially this year the way he's been shooting. Yeah, he might give him a slight edge, but like I don't know. Look at
how about that playoff series last year too? I mean, I thought he was clearly the best player in that series versus Giannis. He just didn't have his players there. I mean, Kyrie wasn't there for some games, and Harden had a hamstring. So
yeah,
I feel like Milwaukee's game plan and also Giannis's offensive IQ during that time, it wasn't necessarily to the point where he needed it to be. And I feel like that kind of forced a lot of miscues on his end, which kind of holds back, what's the word I'm looking for, his effectiveness offensively. But
okay. Giannis is probably the guy I might leave off that list, right? I didn't mention him. We started talking about KD and Jokic, probably because of the skill level, right? It's lower than those guys, I would say. So we could talk about effectiveness and dominance. He's way up there. But if we're talking about skill level, wouldn't we say that Giannis is a peg below Jokic and Durant?
Yes, but maybe more will.
More what?
Will.
More will. He's got more like desire. Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
I think that's a fair point.
Then KD? I don't know. KD would kill you in your sleep, wouldn't he?
What'd you say?
Like KD, you'd wake up and KD's like going to kill you in your sleep. That's to win a game, wouldn't he?
Well, no, nothing. Just because I'm saying that he has more will than them doesn't mean they don't have will. It's kind of like Jokic's passing before, like it's just elite. I think Giannis's will to be the best is. Yeah. I think it's apparent.
Well, as you see, Jokic just stepped through on Towns for a layup, made him look foolish. But that doesn't matter because Denver's down 20. Yeah, I something about passing really gets me going. I got to tell you, when you can set up your teammates for layups, I'm not talking about like an open three or a pass. Some of these assists, by the way, are ridiculous. The guy takes 4 dribbles, he's moving through different directions, then he throws up a shot, he goes in, they get an assist. When I'm talking about layups that this guy creates for his team, 5, 6 a game, it's insane. That gets me going a lot more than a lot of times, even what the Durant stuff is, believe it or not.
I'm with you. I'm a pass first kind of guy. I like stuff like that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one more question for you, Coach. Earlier in the season, we saw guys like James Harden struggle shooting the basketball. Efficiency numbers were pretty low. Same thing for guys like Damian Lillard. What do you think? It seems like there's been a ton of top 15, so to speak, those caliber type of players struggling offensively just from an efficiency standpoint. What do you think has been the biggest proponent to some of those things? It may be different for everybody, but is there one thing that in particular that just kind of sticks out amongst all of those guys?
Yeah, it might be. And really quickly, Daniel, I see your super chat. I'm sorry, we'll get to that 1 second. I got stuck with this in my mindset here, but I will get to you in a second. So hang on for that. The ball is different, and no one's going to want to have an excuse that that's the reason why. But apparently, and I've been trying my hardest to get a hold of a ball, get on the court, and actually do some filming with it to figure out what the difference is. But what I'm hearing is it's harder. It doesn't spin as well, and it's harder. They've had a couple of years to get used to it. They've been developing it over this time. So it's supposed to be not an excuse, but I don't know. Clearly some of these guys are struggling in a weird way. So I will throw that out there as a potential issue that it's just different and maybe throwing them off.
Didn't they switch over to Wilson?
Yeah, yes. It's not Spalding, it's Wilson now. Again, it's all money, right? Why would they switch that up? And it's funny because I remember the ball that I grew up with, which was I think the NBA ball was I think a Spalding. I could almost palm it even like in high school. My hands were not. My hands I got bigger toward the end of high school, but I could palm it, and there was really deep grooves, and it just felt amazing, right? And I feel like they went away from that kind of ball too. And I know when I've been at different combines using NBA balls, they're already kind of hard, and the groove isn't that deep to me. So I don't know why they went away from that because it was like I felt like I was Dr. J back in the day when I used to have an NBA ball, and it felt like you can make a shot from anywhere. Anyway, the point being is Harden, I think if you want to talk about his struggles, I think he was struggling with the excessive defensive physicality that they were allowing.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you next.
But he's still struggling. I still see him missing shots at the rim that are easy. And for no apparent reason, maybe he's expecting the contact and doesn't come, and he just
seems really disengaged, in my opinion. I think he's done with the city of Brooklyn. I just don't. Wow. I don't know. I heard before the season started there were some reports about him being frustrated with Kyrie Irving because there was I think Kyrie was supposed to be scheduled to take the vaccine, and then he backed out in the last second, and that kind of frustrated everybody. And I don't know. I don't think James Harden's really favored that entire situation up until this point. And I haven't even seen him really, what's the word I'm looking for? Embrace Kyrie since he's returned. So I don't know. It's got me thinking. I
would like to talk to CP3 about getting along with Harden and seeing what that was like. I mean, I can even remember CP3 getting mad at him during a Drew League game that didn't even count. So I wonder how that, obviously that dynamic's important, but you can make it work if they don't really like each other. But you're right. The worry is that he's going to bolt, and that's just going to be rough if you try to put all these things together and sacrifice. I mean, they got rid of Jared Allen because of this. You think they would like to have him right now? I think so. Imagine maybe they only had Durant and Harden, and they still had Jared Allen.
I don't know if he reaches that potential though. I don't know if we see this same version of Jared Allen in Brooklyn. I feel like Darius Garland and having a little bit more freedom down there in Cleveland kind of did something for his potential. But
that's a good point. Maybe yeah. Although again, I still felt like we were seeing it amidst the other guys. When I still think Jared Allen would have developed and been who he is now, and which is what they need, a guy like that who can pretty much guard Giannis, for instance, and just block shots and all that stuff. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see, and it really kind of too bad if they can't give us a good playoff series for the ages against one of those teams. We deserve at least that, right? Get them out there. Let's find out if it works. If Harden wants to get out of there after, like, let's say they lose a second round series, but it's 7 games and they really play well. If he wants to bail on that, then we can criticize him all we want for not sticking with it. But yeah, it's interesting. Players are allowed to move. That's the whole point of free agency. And if you don't create that environment, they're going to have a wandering eye no matter what you do. I remember as a coach at the high school level, even, you can't be worried about guys wanting to leave. In fact, I always felt like, listen, if you want to leave, like, please, I don't want you to be here if you don't want to be here. So, please, we'll figure something else out if you don't want to do it. But anyhow, well, thanks so much for being here. I got to take this the super chat right now and get some other people, but I owe you an email. I'll get back to you and I'll come on the pod, and I promise soon.
All right, Coach. I'll catch you later.
Brother. Thanks. All right, we have a super chat, and let's go back to this way for Daniel. This is a buddy of mine down in Australia. He wants to know how my chase defense is. So I invented a new defense. And basically, you play behind the ball in the perimeter. It's a sort of a hybrid zone. And I went and actually installed it at a high school in Vegas, but like they've been struggling, and it sounds like they haven't really been playing it much. And it was too bad because I was really excited about having a team that was going to do it. So if you're a high school coach out there, or even a college coach out there that wants to run a defense that eliminates effectively 3-point shooting and pick and rolls, please email me, coachnick@bballbreakdown.com. Let's do it. I'm going to help you install it. I got a couple. I presented it at Coaching You Live in August. People really responded to it. I have other footage of it with some guys who have experience post-college running it and really doing it nicely. So reach out to me. Let's talk about it. And then I'm going to do a show on it at some point. That might be the best way to do it, right, Combo? Like do a show on this defense, show some footage, and then someone's going to see it and be like, hey, I want to run this. Let's come by my gym and we'll install it. So
I don't have a lot of data yet. You have the
Go
defense behind the offense?
Yeah, so you got 3 players in the perimeter that basically play behind their men the whole time. The center is on the line of deployment between the ball and the basket the whole time, and so he's containing. So picture drop coverage of the pick and roll, but after the pick and roll has already happened, you're in jail. You're putting yourself in jail with a center in front, and then the 4 is kind of a rover who plays like a forward in the 2-3, but depending on where the ball is, he's got to cross the midline and be on different sides. It really just causes havoc because now the offense can't run anything that they want to run. And the beauty of it is that the point guard on top gets to face the basket, and so do the wings. They're facing the basket the whole time, and so they can see everything. Whereas in the past, you play a zone, your back's to the basket, you don't know when anything is happening. Then now you get to see everything, collapse the defense inside the 3-point line, and then take away pick and roll. You can't set a ball screen on a player who's playing behind the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, look, I think it's interesting. First of all, you're throwing a new look at the offense. That usually causes some chaos in general. Yeah. And second of all, I remember playing the other day in the gym and somebody, hit a shot with somebody right behind them. And I'm just thinking, that's a tough shot, So
by the way, that's the other thing I got from that was I talked to some NBA guys. I'm like, well, does the closeout bother you? And he goes, no, it doesn't really bother me at all. I'm like, well, what does? He goes, the guys who are behind me and on the side of my head and getting their hand up in that area.
You can't even see them,
Yeah. And you can kind of feel them and you kind of know they're there. So that's why it's like, oh, this is going to be good. Yeah, because no normal person's going to, pull up a 3 when a guy's breathing down their neck. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to happen. So
I think they tried some of this with Harden before, right?
Exactly. That's what it's based on with Utah, the way they guarded Harden, and then Milwaukee did it that same year in the regular season. They played more on the side of him to take away his step back to the right, but with Rudy shadowing him in the block. But basically it's that for everybody all the way around. And then I had some closeouts where when the ball does get skipped and you got to close out, I'm closing out to get behind the player. So one of the single biggest frustrations that coaches have on defense is their guys not closing out well and getting blown by. Well, guess what? That doesn't exist anymore. You are getting blown. You want to make sure you get behind the guy. You're letting him drive, right? So they don't shoot the 3. You want to get there fast enough. Now you can also, what plays nicely into this is like how we want to challenge in the air now on a closeout and take away the 3. Well, you can do that. And then you're rotating in the air and while you're coming down and then you're landing right behind the guy ready to go. So it kind of plays right into that same kind of, concept that we already play with. And you got to tell you, when you do a pick and roll, you're already behind your man, behind the ball handler with the guy, containing anyway, a lot of the time. So this positioning is not radical. And in fact, I almost might have to introduce it as a pick and roll defense instead of ice, where you get on the side of the guy and force him baseline, get behind him. And then the other guy is still in the same spot. We might introduce it that way to kind of begin. And then the other guys zone up behind him just to kind of get people's feet wet. But I'm telling you, it's you can run it, either as a gimmick zone if you like, but you might be able to actually install it and have it be your main defense.
Yeah, where do you think this defense is most vulnerable? Corner 3, maybe floater range. What do you think?
The corners are a problem on skips. So the skip passing is a problem. That seems to be the one thing where you're behind the guy, and if you're containing, he can kind of see those and throw them.
Yeah.
But the other guy on the weak side is facing it, so you should be able to see that. And that's when the guy on top who's facing the basket gets a lot of deflections and steals because he's stepping into a lot of cutters' lanes and knocking the ball away. And the other thing is a 2-guard front. I haven't quite been able to adjust that. A 2-guard front suddenly makes it where if I'm playing behind the point guard on the left guard spot and then he throws to the right, I can't peel switch over there fast enough. The ball goes too fast. So you're going to have to bring up the wing, and then that causes some issues. But if you have a 2-guard front, you don't have a guy in the corner, right? They brought him up higher, right? Or if you overload, then you can put the 4 there. So
any zone with 3 up top, a 2-guard front is the way you go on offense. You never just have a point guard in the middle of the court,
Yeah, I mean that's what. If you have, it's interesting. If you have an odd top, then you go even on for offense.
100%.
But I've also done it the other way where I've matched it, and then you force them to basically play man. But because this is so radical, you're not really forcing that anyway. You're playing into our hands on a 5-out or something. So, it's interesting to figure that out. And that's the big issue and concern. But I know that there's a really good adjustment to that. I just need more data, more possessions to look at in real time with referees and real players. And I know we can solve that pretty easily, even to the point where maybe if it's a 2-guard from the center needs to come out a little bit and actually kind of play a regular man or something until the guy gets behind him. That might be the answer. Now, if they want to just pass the ball back and forth on the guard spot, then they can waste time doing that. I guess they want.
Yeah, it's interesting. I asked about the floater because I remember James Harden getting some of those when they were playing behind him.
Yeah. So what? Let him take as many floaters as he wants with a hand up. That's all. That's fine with me. All right, we got some more people who want to come on the show. Let's do this. As we're getting kind of long into the show, let's bring in Jalen. Jalen, are you there, my man?
Yellow, Coach. Can you hear me?
I can. It sounds good. How's it going?
What's going on, Coach? What's going on, Cobb? Man,
How
I just want to say thank you for the dedication that you showed with Jokic on this. I just feel like his talent is so slept on. I think the patience he plays with is just something that's going to age beautifully for the game of basketball. I think it's almost to the Curry effect where, it's just the game of how it just evolves. And I feel like he's going to evolve the game a lot for big men and how they play with, try to play, kind of, I feel like how DeMarcus Cousins tried to play towards the end, but, his body just tore down and everything. But now Jokic is just taking that to more of an unathletic, but more just skill way of the game. But I would just say, I feel like it's not really voters fatigue. I feel like it's a mainstream media. He plays for Denver. That haven't been as relevant since the Melo days. But Melo was a first-round pick. The dude was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial, so you understand how that goes. And I mean, for God's sakes, they got the Bucks playing the Wizards right now, which goes into my question. Can you explain the downfall for the Wizards? I mean, Wes Unseld Jr. was getting Coach of the Year consideration, and now they trying to get rid of Spencer Dinwiddie. Can you explain, go into depth with that? I was wondering if he's going to make a video on, showing some teams and how, the expectations was high a lot this year, and now it's it's just really low.
I'm mad because I was going to do a video on the Wizards before the season started saying, you know what, they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, it was looking like.
Yeah, I mean, and they are and I got talked out of it, and maybe by one of the players, and maybe that's why they're where they are now. I don't know. I mean, Bradley Beal seems like he's in a bit of a funk. Maybe he wants to get out of there and be traded and get to a different team. I mean, I think maybe that could have been the thing with it. He was looking forward to getting onto the Warriors or somebody a really good team, right. And then all of a sudden they started playing well, and he's like, oh, you know what I mean? He already had his heart set on that, and then he realized, well, this team actually could be something. Kuzma is good, KCP is good, Harrell is good, Dinwiddie is good. It's a good team. Now they're 23 and 26. They're competitive, right? They're not getting completely hammered on a lot of these games,
right?
But I have a feeling that the trade deadline, it must be hovering over everyone's head, and that's what's causing them to sort of struggle.
Yeah, because I feel like. I mean, the saying goes, for Cleveland, I think they just definitely put a ricochet on a lot of teams now to understand, this team is legit and they're going to be a force to be reckoned, which goes to also my next question was, I would love both your guys' opinion on what do you think the Clippers should do? I think the Clippers right now are in a situation where they're trying to play for now, but they got a lot of asset that could really make them dangerous for the future. I mean, you got Brandon Boston Jr., you got Luke Kennard. I don't know if his contract the best, but he could help out a lot of teams that trying to make noise. Cough, cough, probably the Jazz or something now, knowing that Joe Ingles is gone for the year or something. What do you think the Clippers should do during the trade deadline? What teams do you think should be buyers or sellers during the deadline?
Combo, you want to jump in?
Well, I don't think they really should make any win now moves because Paul George has an injury that in other sports would make it that he'd be out for a year with like Tommy John surgery. So I don't know if he's really coming back, and we don't know if Kawhi could come back 100%, even if Paul George somehow miraculously gets back from that injury that he won't be back from. So I would keep BJ Boston. I think in a redraft, he's going like middle of the first round. Like he's playing really well. He's showing that he's going to be a better NBA player than college player. So I would not trade him. And Luke Kennard, I would keep. Like I always felt like Luke Kennard should get more opportunity. So no, I don't think I would trade those guys, and I don't think PG is going to be able to come back healthy. So I think we got to look to the future.
Well, you know what? It's rough because this team was built around those two guys, and so if they're not going to be available now, and they haven't been able to prove that they can stay healthy anyway. Like, listen, Kawhi, I don't know about him. I don't know if he's ever going to be healthy again, honestly. And Paul George breaks down a lot too. So that's the problem. Is at some point they're going to have to pull the plug if they're not going to. What else are you going to do? You have these assets that I can't play. We have these other guys that are not going to play as well as they can together because they were brought in to play alongside those guys. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious about this notion of, perhaps give it one last try. But remind me, are they both free agents, Paul George and Kawhi? Isn't there Kawhi?
No, Kawhi.
Right?
No, Kawhi. He's signed. I think they're both. I think they're both
okay
under contract for like another 2-3 years. So I think they're pretty set now.
All right, good. Well, then run it back. You're right. I mean, I would probably then go with what Combo was saying was get them healthy. Get it on the court. Find out once and for all what you have. And we thought there were glimpses of what they had was going to be really great, and let it run. But so I don't know if I would do much with the Clippers, and I'm not sure how much they could do. Like Terrence Mann would probably be a really great asset for someone they can get some things back for. But Terrence Mann to me is like a really great piece for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he is that glue guy you'd want. They can't move Bledsoe. Probably that was the mistake of bringing him in the first place. And so, but I mean, listen, the other guys, how much, even Brandon Boston,
Isaiah Herbert, you got Zubac still, but I get what y'all understanding that. And lastly, how do y'all feel about the All-Star reserves this year? I think it's really tough. A lot of deserving All-Star reserves this year. You got Fred VanVleet, you got of course Darius Garland in them. It's going to be a lot of snubs this year. How do y'all feel about the East and the West?
I don't know. I mean, are there going to be a lot of snubs? I feel like everyone's upset
a
about
lot of
Wiggins
teams
starting.
Well, I mean, shoot, Draymond's missed a lot of games. He don't got the All-Star stats, but he might miss out.
That's good. That means that's one less snub, right?
Yeah, I mean, Jaylen Brown and the Celtics ain't gonna have two, even though they're both All-Star caliber players. I feel like Fred VanVleet, LaMelo Ball, or somebody like them, they definitely could get All-Star recognition this year.
You mentioned Garland. I think he should definitely be All-Star this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Garland, absolutely.
Well, who'd you say, Combo?
Garland.
Yeah, Garland and VanVleet should make the reserves. Although now you're getting close to the end of the list for the guards, right?
Right, and then you got James Harden still, who people gonna probably put in. You got Jimmy Butler, Bam. Zach LaVine, of course.
So LaVine is in for sure as a forward, whatever. Because DeMar is starting, right? Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's always snubs every year. It's like the Dame Lillard Award, for snubs. But the thing about Wiggins, I just want to say is I'm really happy for the guy. Like he's finally achieving his potential. He's playing great. The team's playing great. Like it's nice to see. And so what if all the what's this thing like the K-pop people were able to get him a start?
I think they were ambassadors for the Warriors.
Yeah, one of the dudes was ambassador for him. Got him.
K-pop is what is that again?
It's Korean pop music, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right,
because they did something politically, right? They were able to vote down something in the right. I forgot what they did. Oh no, wait, they flooded something. Anyway, I forgot in my
Twitter
politics pod.
with Andrew Wiggins propaganda.
No, there was something on the politics side that they engineered that the Republicans tried to do something, and then I know what it was. I think it was Trump had a rally and they were selling tickets. So the K-pop people all got into it and snatched them all up and made it look like it was going to be sold out. But then really nobody showed up because they were all bought by K-pop people. Anyway, good for them.
Right. And then,
anyway, yeah.
And then lastly, Coach, I'm done. What is your prediction for the offseason dealing with the Sixers? Do you feel like it's more of a chance the Sixers fail in getting James Harden and trading for Ben Simmons, or do you think this is just they could just do all this and none, but they're 9 times out of 10 is going to probably get they're not going to get James Harden? What do y'all feel about that?
I give him a chance. I think there's a chance that could actually happen. Do you think that, Combo?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, we know that Daryl Morey and James Harden have a great working relationship. Ben Simmons might be even a better fit when it comes to the Nets. So I could definitely see it happening.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So yeah, you got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, my guys.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Let's we've got some more people want to come on in. So let's bring in where are we? Emmanuel.
We got video, huh?
Maybe.
It looks like it's loaded.
It was kind of black when it was in the it looked like this in the studio before I brought him on. But Emmanuel, are you there? We got spinning, but maybe we'll see.
He's buffering.
Yes. The old buffer. We did the whatever that. Oh, damn, we lost him. All right, let's bring in Hero. Hero, are you there? Fortunately,
Hello, Coach.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm doing fine. How about you, Coach, in combo?
Hey,
We're good.
How are you? How are you?
I'm doing great right now. Just watching some games in the background while watching
Nice.
live
It's a good
show.
life.
Regarding about the chase defense, Coach.
Yeah.
I think Tybal is doing some of it right now.
Oh yes, he lets the guy go by him sometimes. I totally agree, and I did a video on that, right, where I talked about, oh gosh, it was somebody who was scoring a lot of points. Maybe it was Steph, maybe Dallas. My gosh, my brain is addled, but I think it was Dallas letting him go because they don't want him to shoot a three, so they kind of were getting sort of behind him and chasing him. So yeah, you're seeing Tybal do that too. I believe that I've seen that too. Yeah.
Hey, Coach Nick, I feel like that's the old New York City defense, though. They just let you go by and try and swipe from behind. I mean, I see a lot of people in the park used to do that. You know?
That needs to be taught. I was never good at that. I can never do
I
that.
used to be annoyed, but it was always kind of the guys that like they really couldn't play, and then they would get like this BS steal on you. You know what I mean? Like,
well, listen, you're supposed to just cross over when you get by the guy. And they won't do that, but like sometimes you're going too fast. But I know guys, and maybe guys who weren't even that long and who that quick, who could just do that and knock the ball away every time. And I could never do it. I don't know what I was missing, but there's a skill to that. Why not teach that? You watch Steph Curry reach in every single time. He's digging, daring for a guy to call a foul, and they don't usually call it, and he gets a steal every now and then. I don't see why we shouldn't look at that at least and see if we can't develop that. And by the way, there's a whole other skill to playing behind the ball that we need to develop. There's got to be fundamentals to develop that, because you can't just sort of stand behind there. There needs to be some footwork and some energy and some movement and and an idea of how to like force and pressure whatever from behind. So Hero. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. What's good about Tybal is how his footwork in defense is really good. Like he could jump at 1 foot while timing the shot of the opponent behind the back of them. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, here's the thing I think that Tybal does. So all the footwork that we use on offense, when you split and go, and then you cross over and the stutter steps and all that stuff, and off of jumping for floaters, he does the same footwork on defense. So no longer do we have this like step slide stuff and like hope to catch up. He uses all the footwork that we use on offense for defense, and that's the absolute complete playbook we need to now focus on. So when we're teaching this, you guys can be more explosive and they can recover a lot better, because literally they're just using the same footwork that the guy you're guarding is. It's a really powerful thing that we need to study more of, and I got to talk to him to find out how he developed this, because it might have just been feel, I guess, but like maybe because he got good early, the coaches weren't going to say, hey man, you need to slide here and get in the defensive stance. Like he doesn't do any of that stuff. There's nothing traditional about his defensive movement, and he is completely effective that way.
Sometimes when players pick up basketball late, things like that happen. Maybe that happened with him. I wonder what age he started playing basketball.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody out there in the comments knows. Maybe Google knows. When did Tybal pick up basketball? That's not going to probably work. It says 2019.
Wow. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. No. I think what they thought they were asking, when did he get drafted? That's when he got drafted. So I'm pretty sure he played before 2019. We'll have to do a little deeper dive to figure out who's late. But, growing up in Australia, there could very well be something to that. And I'm just, again, I told this before, like I'm so worried about the Australians and what they're doing teaching shooting because so many of these guys are coming in as suboptimal shooters for some reason. Anything else you want to talk about, Hero?
Well, lastly, it's just about the trade deadline for Ben Simmons. Are they gonna trade him this season, or are they gonna hold out for next season?
I think they're going to hold him. Don't you think, Combo?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think there's anybody out there or any offers that are giving them equal value, at least in Daryl's mind. And he's not going to trade Ben unless it's for another star. So Daryl seems like he's holding tight. And honestly, Daryl's buying himself time. Like if he makes a bad trade right now and things don't go well, he's out probably. If he could buy himself time and make a better trade in the offseason, it makes sense for the team and it makes sense for himself.
Yeah. And they're playing so well now as it is that there's the pressure, I think, is off of him. If they were really struggling, then they would have traded him because they would have felt, oh, God, we have to do something. So the one guy that's really upset about this is Ben Simmons. I'm sure he thought, without me, they're nothing, right? And guess what? He found out that Maxey is really good. Curry is really good. Thibault is helping them. Even Tobias Harris is great. So they have a good team, and they're now that Embiid is healthy, they're back to winning 85% of their games and are really tough.
And word on the street is that Embiid is okay with them not trading Ben. Have you heard that too, Coach, or have you heard something different?
No, but that makes sense to me. I mean, don't change anything. It's fine. Everything is working fine right now. I mean, right. The point being that he might sense, you know what, we're winning these games, but we're not going to be able to make it in the playoffs. He might, clearly that's not the sense that we're getting from him. So he must feel pretty good about how they're playing and how they're going to end up developing toward the end of the season. So we'll see. All right, Hero. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Bye. All righty. We got Emmanuel back, I think.
Still buffering.
Maybe. Yeah. But let's see if he can get back in here real quick as we start to wrap this up. We're already past an hour, man. This went by quick.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely. All right, Emmanuel, are you there? Oh, we had it looked promising for a minute, but maybe his internet connection is slow. Let's give him another couple seconds here before we start to go. You know what? Let's go. Let's answer a question. I'm going to grab one from the comments. So no super chats today. We got one, but I don't know what's going on today. I guess people didn't want to ask any questions. But let's throw one up there just for fun. Coach, how would Jokic work in the Warriors system? From Conrad. Quite well. If we haven't forgotten, maybe we have forgotten, Andrew Bogut played in that system and was awesome from the high post, making really great passes. We should go back and get that footage because that was great. And I can guarantee you that Jokic would plug right into that. He wouldn't bring the ball up as much, right? Because you got Curry, you got Clay, you got other guys, Wiggins bringing it up. But there's no question.
If you replace Draymond with him, that makes sense, right? But
yeah, right. Yes, you play or they play alongside each other. But yeah, the one thing that's nice about the Warriors is they're a very equal opportunity bring the ball up team, right?
Yeah.
So Wiggins will bring it up, Draymond brings it up, Steph brings it up, And by the way, that's important because who brings it up dictates what the possession, right? Even if it's a simple pass to the wing, a lot of times that will ultimately affect how the rest of the possession goes. And in fact, I used to do that. And I probably should do that. Maybe going forward is charting what the result was based on who brings the ball up for the Warriors. I think the Curry guy ends up probably being the most effective for their offense, but it's interesting.
But it's also the opposite of the Harden effect with the Rockets because everybody's getting a little bit of feel, everybody's in flow, everybody's in rhythm, and the Warriors have always played great team ball, and everybody always felt part of the offense, even though we all know it's a Steph Curry show with a little bit of Klay Thompson and Draymond in there as well.
There's a great quote that I shared today from Draymond talking about Coach Kerr and how basically he's like, they weren't buying into this whole thing in the beginning as far as, moving the ball and playing the system. And Curry just told him, he's like, listen, the ball will find the shooter that needs to shoot. And it's exactly that way. And I know when I coach a triangle offense, I never had to tell a player, hey, you can't shoot the ball unless you're wide open under the basket. I would never want to do that. I never had to. The players that should have shot the most shots shot the most shots. It's like and organically. That's the nice thing about the offense is because it gives you spacing, angles, movement, and the guys that are aggressive will get be able to get those shots. So Kerr knew this by having played in the triangle and knew he could recreate that with this new version of the offense. And so, it's the best way to play. There's no question. You watch those guys do it and slipping screens and getting layups. There's no question that's how you want to play. Well, listen, we got two last guys. Emmanuel looks like he's ready to go. He's got video this time. Let's see. Let's bring him in and see how it works. Are you there, Emmanuel? Oh, wow. Well, I think that might have been the last shot. Let's add Josiah here and see how we do as we wrap this up. Josiah, are you there? Josiah. Oh, we're kind of struggling a little bit with the guests here today. Oh, he's gone. All right, let's give Emmanuel one last try. Emmanuel, are you there?
Okay, I think so my tablet didn't work. Now I'm on my phone. And when you let me in the last time, I hit back accidentally instead of X because I was in the chat.
Oh, okay. Well, here you are, and you're on video. Love to see it. How's it going?
I mean, it's my birthday, so.
Oh,
happy birthday.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
You. Glad I could be on the show for this. And first thing I want to address is the lack of Heat content as a Heat fan. Like, we're the #1 seed in nothing.
Didn't I do one?
I got a question for you, Emmanuel. Since you like, why is everybody comparing Max Strus to Duncan Robinson when they play nothing alike?
I don't know, honestly. I think it's just because he hits threes, and I think it's also the general lack of like a lot of Heat fans aren't very like knowledgeable on the game, and it's like, oh, you hit threes, okay, new Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not only Heat fans; it's just everybody who's talking about the NBA. Like, oh, they got a new Duncan Robinson, but Max Strus. I
think he's much better because he can put the ball down, which is what and also like defense.
It's funny. I feel like I don't always do Heat videos because they don't do great for some reason. But I might be wrong. I should check that to make sure. But you're right. I don't know. Combo's been talking about, hey, we got to talk about the Heat all the time. He's always pushing me to talk about them.
Thank you,
Emmanuel.
Yeah, it's on my list, and it keeps getting bumped. Like something else grabs my attention, like an Embiid video or a Jokic video.
Look, man, Anthony Edwards, Michael Jordan comparison video is going to get you more views and likes and retweets.
I mean, I think a Jimmy Butler Michael Jordan video could have got you some views a couple while ago.
You see that comparison?
No, it's just something people say as a joke, I think.
I did something like that. Was it Butler? Somebody had come in finally and played really well. I think it was Butler, and this was years ago in Chicago when he was there. And I did that video. Like, finally, they might have found the guy that can kind of, make us forget a little bit about Michael. It's interesting because Cleveland seems to have gotten over the whole LeBron shadow, right? It feels like they've gotten out from under that. And, Chicago maybe now this year finally has gotten away from the Michael shadow a little bit more. But all right, but I pledge I will do a Heat video within the next week or two. I promise. I'm going to get to it as quickly as I can.
I'll be there for it.
I hope so. I mean, listen, coming up to the Super Bowl, I have a really big ad. I want to have a video that does really well. I got to come up with a good title or a good subject. So maybe that would be the Heat or something. So, or maybe, what, for me, the best thing is if a coach will call out a player. That's the best one for me because then I can do a video on it and really find out if the coach is right or not. But anyhow, what would I focus on the Heat? What would you think in a video?
I mean, honestly, for me, I want to address one thing first because Giannis made some comments earlier this week about the Heat. He said, because they asked him about what happened against us in the bubble, and he said we were built to be a bubble team. And that's been something that's been bothering me since the bubble. What is a bubble team? They keep saying bubble team this, but I have no idea what that means.
I'll tell you.
Please.
Guys who can shoot really well without the crowd putting pressure on them, and that is a thing. Like there are guys who, struggle on the road because the crowd's yelling at them. And without that the people played a lot better. And I think it is a thing, and I don't know. Does that explain exactly how he got all the way to the final?
Swept out of the playoffs?
Yeah. I mean, listen.
Because for me, I've always been big on Drew Holiday. And I think replacing Bledsoe, who was just basically a Ben Simmons on offense for them, with Drew Holiday would beat us. I mean, not to mention we traded all of our players for Oladipo, who then got injured, but that's another thing.
Well, that's the whole Giannis conundrum is that when you watch them play down the stretch in the key games, it's like Middleton or Drew Holiday that's going to have to do something and create in the half court for them, not Giannis. Certainly not Giannis all the time. It's mostly those guys. So, yeah, I hear you. Listen, they made it to the finals. They looked really good, and then they kind of took a step back. Now, part of that is Jimmy Butler can't stay healthy, and that's really frustrating to me. I don't know.
That's another thing I wanted to talk to you about because as a Heat fan, I'm not even I don't even care about the regular season because our rotations, like I don't know if it's going to be Max today, if it's going to be Strus today, or if it's going to be Duncan today. Like our rotations aren't very like set in stone. And until the playoffs, I don't even know what we are as a team because of injuries, and not to mention like COVID is still a thing. So like players are coming in and out. And I don't even know what like the teams are going to look like.
I hear you.
That coaching staff is a very intellectual coaching staff. They think a lot. So I'm sure a lot of that is because of strategy.
No, I mean, I know we're just testing stuff because we can right now. That as a Heat fan, like I don't even know, like when it get like the only person I know for sure is going to be there is Jimbo because he's solid. But everyone else, I have no idea what our roster is going to look like.
Do you believe the team has 3 stars?
I believe we have Jimmy Butler.
So you don't
and I
consider
mean,
Bam
Hero
and
is on
Kyle
his way.
stars?
I do love some Hero, and I'm not. I'm a Miami boy, so I have to agree that Hero is going to be there. Even though we were taking a lot of heat for that for a while.
Hey, by the way, I said that Tyler Hero was going to be all-star pre-bubble. Pre-bubble, I said that. So that was before, and I think it's going to happen one day.
I mean, you're better than me because I jumped on the wagon after the bubble. Well, I mean, during the bubble.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, the Kentucky guys, I'm not always sold on coming out of there. But, you know.
So you don't like Ty Washington?
Isn't Book from Kentucky too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't sold on him. Like, really, there was something missing and empty in his game for a long time.
I mean, there's also Carl.
AD.
Yeah, but Cat also had lets you empty a little bit.
I mean, but like he was solid coming. He was a solid like at least 15-10 guy. Like that's not.
Like, and by the way, you're going to find a video or a tweet of mine saying that Nerlens Noel was going to be better than Cat. So that shows you. But by the way, before the damn knee injury, like there was something about Noel and his movement pattern, the way, you know, and I saw, you know, Cat, you know, listen, I guess we could have, who knew then that Cat was going to be like shooting threes and handling the ball. We didn't see that at all in Kentucky, as far as I could tell. So anyway, but yeah, sorry. So we'll do some Miami Heat stuff. Butler is the whole key, and I would hate to rely on that guy. I'm sorry, he just gets too much.
I mean, I don't. But during the playoffs, we've seen it. He's a ride or die. He will play because I love that he had Thibodeau, even though Thibodeau is who Thibodeau is. But he can run for 50 minutes a game because of Thibodeau.
Emmanuel, the key is Oladipo.
Yeah, but it's too late now. We're in February and he still isn't playing yet, and we have no updates. Yeah. If he start playing him in March, he's not going to be ready for the playoffs.
He kind of has what that team lacks, which is like elite
offense. No, I believed in us getting Oladipo, and I was very high on us. Like going in, I was like, "Oh, Oladipo is going to be back by January." Now it's like February 1st, and it's like, "Oh my God, I'm worried about us."
Right.
Which is again why I'm saying like I don't know what to look for as a Heat fan because the regular season doesn't interest me because it's a ring for us, and it's like, are we even good enough? And I don't know what we are.
I hear you. Well, I'm going to try and answer that question for you in a video coming up soon. So happy birthday, man. Have a really good one, or rest of a good one. And let this year be better than last.
I mean, hopefully. Thank you for having me on the show.
Anytime. You got it. All right. Let's finish this up. What do you say? We got a super chat and then we'll be done. All right. Thank you so much. Money is life. Very, very generous of you. Thank you so much. Coach, do you think Steph Curry is already over the peak of his career? I know you made a video of him before, but he's really getting worse. Yeah, listen, he's in his 10th, 11th, 12th year. He's 32, 33. So he's definitely, the peak already happened, right? But that the crest on the back end could be long, could be 5 years of, very similar numbers to what we did see on the way up to the peak. So I'm not sure if that matters too much, but he'll get back on track. And we saw he detonated in the fourth quarter like a Michael Jordan. He looked like an unstoppable force from everywhere. So I think maybe we see smaller spurts of it where it happens like in a bunched up time and maybe not over the course of the whole game. But Combo, am I lying here or what?
No, well, KPJ started talking to him, which I don't blame KPJ. Like, I'm not mad that he's not scared of anybody. I kind of like that mentality. But KPJ started talking to him, and as you said, Steph detonated. Steph is like a one-man show that understands team concepts to the highest level at the same time. That's why I like Steph. And
yeah,
obviously he's an all-time great. And I think he could shoot the basketball. So you're right. That second half or even after his peak, it could be long. It could be like 5 years. He could be 6 years, 7 years. He could be a really good player, even though maybe he's not peak Steph Curry.
Right, but the way he's moving to me looks like he hasn't really lost much of a step at all. So that's why
I would say he's not quite as quick, but he is stronger now. I would say that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, All right, fair enough. We have another super chat. Wow, we can't get out of the show here. One more super chat. JC, thank you so much. So generous. Why no love for CP3 for MVP?
We talked about this, Coach Nick.
Yeah. Why? What's the answer?
He doesn't have gaudy stats.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and that's too bad because you're right. He controls every possession, and he does it well. And but you can't win MVP if you score under 15 points a game, right?
I agree. You need those stats to win MVP.
Yeah. Now he's getting 10 assists a game, which is obviously leading the league, and great. But 15 a game ain't going to cut it, and he's under 35% for three. He's not even taking that many threes. By the way, he's never really taken that many threes. It's kind of funny, isn't that? Like he's usually a really good, above average shooter, but he's never taken more than well, actually, let's see, the most he took in Houston was 6.5. That was an anomaly. After that, he's been taking like 3.5, 4 tops. Weird. But again, he's a throwback, and that might be part of it too. He's just sort of like he plays the point guard position like we used to play it, and hardly anyone plays it that way anymore.
Yeah, he has most valuable impact, but he doesn't have the most valuable stats, I would say.
Yeah, and thank God he did it in the playoffs last year and got him to the helping get to the finals. But I would like to see one more run like that where he plays well, doesn't get hurt, and who knows if that happens, he can end up being getting them back to the finals. So, well, Combo, I think we're finally at the end of the show.
Yeah, man, this was fun. We get better as we get better every episode, as I always say. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on your platform. Great video, which I watched this morning. Everybody should check it out. And yes, appreciate you always, Coach Nick.
Well, remember today the video. Yesterday was the video about Anthony Edwards being Michael Jordan, but then today I did a deep dive into some of the plays that we talked about, but like with diagrams and the whole thing. Which, by the way, we have a new Discord and community over on the Assist app, which you got to check out. So check that video. The link's in the description about how to join that, and then we'll have a private area where we can all discuss plays. It doesn't have to be coaches; it could be anybody who wants to discuss like how their favorite players are getting their actions in the offense. You can diagram them on this app. It's really, really cool. So check that out and be part of the conversation. I want to hear from you directly. And there's a Discord link when you sign up too. So hopefully I'll see you out in there, Combo, as well.
Yes, sir. Would love it.
All right, great. Well, don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?
We're all in, Coach Nick.
We're all in.
We always mess that up. That pause is crazy, Coach Nick. That pause.
All right. Well, we're all in. You're too excited to be in, so we're all in. All right. I'm in, you're in, and then we're out.